Take a look at these two pictures. While both were shot at the same time with similar lighting and framing, one of them was captured on the iPhone 16 Pro and the other, the Nothing Phone 3. So which one is which? Well, a couple of days ago, I went on Instagram to find out which of the two pictures you guys actually preferred, not even hinting at which phones were used for each of the shots. The results were actually surprising. Not because of the one on top getting 72% of the votes. It's clearly the better shot here. The surprising thing was that the winner of this one was the Nothing Phone 3's selfie camera, while the bottom picture was captured on the iPhone 16 Pro. This is a new camera comparison format for me, so let me know in the comments if you enjoy it, and while you're down there, make sure you subscribe as well. So let's get to it and see which of these two smartphones you prefer. When it comes to the camera specs on the Nothing Phone 3A, they've kept them pretty simple with three 15-megapixel sensors on the back of the phone for the main ultra-wide and the 3x periscope telephoto. That's something that not a lot of devices have, a periscope telephoto. That actually leads to some better images because it allows for a larger sensor there. And then up front for the selfie camera, we have a 50-megapixel sensor as well. That can capture 4K 60 video, as can all of the cameras on the back of the Nothing Phone 3A. When looking at the iPhone 16 Pro, we have three cameras on the back of the phone, a 48 megapixel primary with another 48 megapixel ultra wide, and then a 12 megapixel 5x periscope camera. And then up front, we have another 12 megapixel sensor that can capture 4K video at up to 60 FPS, as can the rear cameras, but that main sensor can go all the way up to 120 frames per second. And let's here take a look at video capture on both of these devices, starting off with the iPhone with the ultra wide being just slightly wider than what we get on the Nothing, 0.5 versus 0.6. But then bumping into that main sensor, we have optical image stabilization on both of these, and also this is always going to be the best video possible since it is the largest sensor on the phone. And then we're going to bump into the periscope zoom cameras on both of these, 3x on the Nothing Phone and 5x on the iPhone. One thing to note, there's not a whole lot of phones that have a 3x periscope camera, so it's nice to see this on the Nothing Phone, even though it's not as close as what you get on the iPhone. Now that you've seen about a dozen of these side-by-side comparisons, I'm sure by now you can probably start picking out which device captured which image without looking at the labels at the bottom. But before we get to that, I'm gonna talk about these numbers here because this one's a huge landslide with 88% of you picking the top shot. And that one, again, was captured by the Nothing Phone 3. And moving on to the next one, this picture of the statue was captured just a couple feet away from the fountain, but the tones here are a little bit different. The one at the bottom has a whole lot more detail in the marble, while the one at the top is a little bit brighter and less moody, let's say. But that one was the overall pick from you guys. Again, the Nothing Phone 3, which means this one's coming out ahead in this comparison, which is kind of looking like a little bit of a trend. As many of you know, the iPhone has always had a big advantage when it comes to capturing video, especially from the selfie camera. That's always had a big advantage over a lot of Android devices, being able to capture 4K video, not only at 30 FPS, but 60 FPS. But recently, Android devices have been catching up, and the Nothing Phone 3 is one of those devices, being able to capture 4K video at 60 frames per second from the 50 megapixel selfie camera that we have here, which is a big deal. I don't know what it looks like right now on the screen side by side, but just looking at the displays here, I have to say it is pretty close. I do like that the iPhone has a little bit wider field of view, being able to fit a little bit more into the shot. But let me know what you think of the results here, because I think Nothing has caught up in this aspect. this one, if you do have a sharp eye, you can cheat just a little bit by taking a close look at the phone that I'm holding in my hand, and then the opposite device was used to capture the image. The colors and the contrast between these two shots are really close, so I honestly wasn't surprised to see that the results of the polls was the closest out of any of these comparisons, with a score of 64 to 36. But this time, the iPhone 16 Pro actually comes out ahead. Well, as you can see now, it's getting a little bit darker, so now it's time to test out these two cameras side by side to see how they perform when lighting conditions aren't ideal. Let's take a look. Here we go, starting off with low light video capture on both of these devices while recording video with the ultra wide camera. But as always, if you want to capture the best video possible, the main sensor here is always going to be your best option on both of these phones. But of course, if you do want to punch in a little bit closer, we do have the 3x and 5x periscope zoom cameras on both of these devices. The iPhone definitely gets in a whole lot closer here, but honestly, it's not clear if it's actually a better view with that one. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer. Now, low light shots is often where a lot of cheaper Android phones just kind of fall flat on their face. So let's see if that's true in this comparison as well. Based off of the polls, you guys overwhelmingly chose the darker, moodier shot here, giving the Nothing Phone 3 another win, which is honestly pretty surprising since the iPhone 16 Pro isn't really a slouch when it comes to low light photography. And then another look at video capture in low light conditions. Honestly, looking at both of these side by side, it's really hard to tell the difference between these just on the screen themselves. I'll have to wait until I'm on the computer to see the difference here, but Nothing has honestly done a really good job here compared to the iPhone 16 Pro, which is incredibly impressive considering just how much cheaper the Nothing phone is compared to the iPhone. And to give you guys another look at video capture from the selfie camera in low light conditions, the iPhone and the Nothing phone here look pretty similar on the screen themselves. Of course, once you transfer this to a computer, edit the video, and upload it to YouTube, it might look a little bit different, but honestly, I am very impressed with what Nothing's been able to do in low light. But I'm gonna flip things around to that main camera sensor just to show you how much better it is in low light conditions like this and why you should always try to use the main camera for capturing video at night. And here we go, flipped around to that main sensor on the back of the phone. Obviously, I can't see it right now, but as you can see these side by side, it's probably gonna be a clear difference between the video from the selfie camera and what you're seeing now with that main sensor on the back of the phone. And of course, we also have a selfie in low light conditions as well, which can be tough on their own, but even harder when using portrait mode. But as you can see from both of these shots, you can get some pretty good results. The question is, which one is better? Even though the one on the top is significantly brighter, which a lot of people actually prefer, the bottom one got 84% of the vote, making it the clear winner in this comparison. And of course, this one was captured with the Nothing Phone 3 again. And with that, the results of this blind camera comparison are in, giving the Nothing Phone 3 the clear win over the iPhone with a score of 5-1. Honestly, I was a bit surprised at the results here, but if you asked me which device I would actually use on a day-to-day basis for capturing my photos and videos, I'd still pick the iPhone 16 Pro, just because it has that slightly wider field of view from the ultra-wide camera, the 5x periscope telephoto camera, and also much better video quality as well. If you like this new video format for these camera comparisons, let me know in the comments below. And if you are looking for another smartphone camera comparison to look at, I definitely recommend my Pixel 9a versus iPhone 16 Pro, which is definitely going to give you the ultimate camera shootout between a $500 phone and a $1,000 smartphone. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.